This is Andy Orr at Falco Canine Academy again. I know I just saw you guys just like a half an hour ago, but I couldn't wait to get on to show you my new framing for Halloween tomorrow. It's fantastic. I'm using an app called BeLive.tv to go live here on Facebook. And so I thought I'd show that off, or you can see this one here. This is another cool one. Just like I said, get ready for Halloween there. We're going to be talking about the Bonker technique just a little bit here. As I was commenting on the Facebook Live I just did regarding bed bug detection, I want to bring to your attention, I have a new book. It's a journal. Oops. Wow, I just copied and pasted the wrong thing. Hold on. I almost put it in there. Here is, it's a new book. It's for trainers. It's a journal. Train the dog. I did this last time. Spoke out the whole thing in the dog trainer journal. I have this podcast that I've been doing the last few days, and I'm on what episode am I on again? I think I'm on 8. And in there, I talk a lot about journaling. I think journaling is a great way to really embed some of the things you're learning, no matter what it is you're doing, in your brain, because the act of writing it down, especially physically writing it down, not typing into a computer, is so powerful and just really causes those things to become embedded in your brain. And let's say it doesn't, for whatever reason, it still escapes you. You can refer, obviously, to the written journal, to those things that you learned while doing some type of act. So whether you're a Christian and reading the Bible, journaling what your thoughts are on that, whether your whatever religion you're in or not, and journaling that, whether you're learning a new technique like in regard to dog training or just about anything else, piano, journaling your process and things you learned, and things not to do, things to do, something you heard on a radio station about what it is that you are interested in, and journaling it down. I think it's a very powerful thing. So I have this new journal that I created just for dog trainers. It has the beginning of each page on the right-hand side. It has in gray, light gray, so that you can actually use it as a blank page or use it to write specific things where I give you a place to put the dog and the human and some of the important things you need to note down, so that you can always have those at the beginning, so you know what you're starting with, and then down you have your journaling of what happened during your training process. So you have the things that you can refer to and write them down, so that way you always have them. You never forget to write down what the dog was, what breed of dog it was, or what prior training the dog had, or even the human had, prior knowledge that they might have that maybe worked against them, maybe the tools that they had in regard to collars. There's places that I have noted where you put those things. That way, again, you don't forget them, and then you have however many pages you want to journal. And on the back, there's a place for logging the entries. And that way, if you do need to come back and refer to it, you just go to the back of the book, you find through keywords that you're going to write in, say pinch collar to flat collar, you're going to find that keyword and then find the date, and then be able to find the date within the journal. So it's really easy journal to use. Created it, published it yesterday. So the URL to get it is right there. But we're going to go on and we're going to talk about Bonker. Now I'm in BeLive.tv, where you can put these comments up and that kind of stuff. And so I'm not in a webinar jam. So the way that I'm going to play these videos, you're going to be able to see them, but not necessarily hear them very well, because I don't think that the words that, what's the guy's name who I'm going to be, it's his technique. His name is Gary Wilkes. So I'm not sure where Gary Wilkes is from or even who he is. Just somebody brought it to my attention and asked me, what do you think of the Bonker technique? And then, so I don't know if anybody knows where he's from and what he does. I don't know him, so I can't speak about who he is or him as a person. I'm just going to talk about what I'm seeing on the videos, and we're going to talk about, these techniques and what I feel about them. Hey, Chris, our blind hide search is very important, and so how often? If so, how often? Yes. So Chris is talking about detection dog work. We're talking about the Bonker technique. Really quick, I'll tell you, they're very important because you have to make sure that you are not influencing your dog, because you want to make sure that you don't know where the find is, right? So you need to have your wife or a friend hide the finds for you, and then either leave the room or stay in the room, but not tell you where they're at. And so you need to make sure and do those on a regular basis so you don't influence your dog as you get close to the finds if you know where they are. because pretty soon your dog won't know how to find them because they're going to wait for you to either slow down, change the way you're talking, change your hand position on the leash, do something, whatever that is that you would do if you knew where something was. The dog will read that faster because dogs are masters of reading body language. And once they realize that you're doing something different where there's a find, the dog will just learn to read you, and then he'll start to sniff. And so really important to do blind searches. Hey, Paul. Hey, good evening, buddy. I am doing well, exhausted. I just had my son's birthday, 7th birthday. We had 3 different parties for him and then another one in the mall. You got Halloween coming up. I'm trying to work and do this stuff. I'm trying to move out of a storage. Tired of paying $300 a month for a storage unit for junk, right? I just realized, I'm paying $300 a month for junk to be stored. So I'm going to clean that out while I'm trying to do these Facebooks live. But thanks for asking, Paul. Glad to have you on the broadcast. And so let's talk about this bonker technique. Again, I'm on Be Live. So again, you're going to be able to see the video, but not necessarily hear it. I'm going to try to get my mic kind of close so you can hear what is happening. But Be Live is easier to use, and I have more tools available other than the aspect that you're not going to be able to hear. All right, so I'm going to play a couple of videos. I'm going to talk over them just a little bit because I think it's important for it to have a little bit of a narrative of what it is you're about to watch. And I don't want anybody to be shocked because there are people that are very sensitive. Now, if there's one thing I've learned in the dog training world, let me go ahead and bring this back down again. In the dog training world is there are some people that are shocked by the very most minor things. And actually, they're shocked by things that are actually the best things. So in the back of a truck, for a dog to ride in the crate, it is the safest, especially when it's bound down by, tie downs and that kind of stuff. It's the safest place for the dog to be, for both the dog and the human being. It is much better for a dog to be tied down in the back of a pickup truck for both the dog and the human being. Now, surely, if you get in a car crash, anybody could die, anybody could get hurt, a lot's going to happen. But I know for sure if you have a dog running around inside your car or inside your truck, when you get in a car accident, that dog becomes a projectile. And if you're in the path of that dog when it goes flying through the air at the time of impact, he will take you out and you will both die. Right? You may have survived if that dog wasn't loose running around in your car. I don't care how small the dog is or how big the dog is. Have I ridden around with a dog loose in the car? Absolutely. But I'm just telling you that it is best to have a dog in a crate. Have I always done it? No. There's things that you shouldn't do, but we all still do them. But if you're going to ask me, my opinion, to tie a dog down in a crate in the back of the truck is best. And how this started is that the consciousness shocked by people. I pulled up with my dog in a crate in the back of the truck, and I've had people, I cannot believe you have your dog in a crate. It's the most cruelest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm going to report you to the animal control. And they're crazy. And I've had this happen in Las Vegas. And these are with dogs that I work with on a daily basis. These dogs get more attention than any other dog, any backyard, any more attention than where's their dog when they're complaining? They're home, sitting in their backyard, staring, at themselves in the water bowl. My dogs are out working. We're spending time together. We're playing, and they're sitting there complaining because I had to drive from point A to point B with my dog in the safest place that he possibly be, and that's in a crate where he's actually. It was a metal aluminum crate that's supported and very strong. That I think in a crash, he would be the only thing that would ever survive, no matter how bad the crash was. And they're sitting there telling me what a cruel person I am. And so I've been surprised by how some people can be shocked by stuff. Again, people will comment about the type of collar you have. And I said, well, this is the collar only keeping this dog away from being euthanized. This dog has attacked and bit people in the face. And the pinch collar that we're using with this dog in order to keep him in a place of obedience and calm is the only reason he's alive, right? And so people can come out at you with some stuff. So in this video, some people will be shocked by what it is they see. Other people like me, I've seen some horrible things done to dogs, and it doesn't shock me. But this is a technique, and we're going to talk about it. And again, it was brought to my attention. I don't know who this guy is. I don't think I've ever met him. I met a lot of people in the dog world, and I have forgotten many of those people. So there is a chance that he and I have crossed paths. And so I apologize to him if he ends up watching this and says, "Yeah, dude, I met you at the blah blah, and we talked and whatever." And so, and I apologize if I forgot. So let me bring it back up to the broadcast. Sorry, I went on a whole tangent there. And let me just go ahead and bring this back down. and make it solo. There we go. All right, so we're going to play this first video. And this first one is going to talk. I wonder if I make it. I'm going to have to look on my phone just to make sure it's not doing something weird. So I've made it large here. That way it's a little bit easier for you to see. I'm not playing it yet because I want to make sure that you can actually see it. There are some weird things that happens on these broadcasts. So I'm going to the Falco Cannon Academy Facebook page, and I'm trying to see. Yes. Okay, good. All right. So I can see that it's actually playing. So I'm going to play it, and there's some writing here that I want to read out loud. That way you can understand. This is, I believe, Gary Wilkes. He's obviously written this to explain what bonking is. All right. So a bonker is a rolled up towel that is either thrown at a dog or used like in the video. It is a punisher. It does not harm the dogs. It is not used in anger. It communicates to the dog to not do something. It will be paired with the word no, so that whatever that said. This is a great application for a dog that is being pushy with Gary and trying to get the treats. So.
Oh, you are so good. God, where did you get him? He's gorgeous. Huh? Rescue?
Yeah, I think he was from backyard.
Well, I don't know what he was from. Look at this. Look at these legs. You know those quarter horse pictures where his musculature.
So here comes the bonk in a minute. He's going to take that treat and put it in his lap. Now you see the dog nosing. Watch.
Okay,
that's the bonk.
He was pushing my hand. So I've just created a contingency. Push my hand, get bonked. Your choice, free ride. Take a ride on the reading, but it's not the reading.
All right, so there's that one. Let's watch another one. I don't know I forget what he does after this. So here's another dog. He's obviously teaching a lecture here. We're going to increase the size. This is a pointer that he ends up bonking, a little puppy. So here we go.
This is the bobtail Labrador. He's pretty. Pass me that. Thank you so much. Now, out of a clear blue sky, no. And what did he just do? He came right back at me. Come here, bud. Come here. Come here. Come on. Yes, you're a good one. You're a good one. Now, the scientific behaviorists would tell you that somehow or another this dog is now going to attack me. Are you going to jump? You're going to jump. Oh, you're going to jump on me? No, you're not. They don't do that. The point is that these animals are designed to, yes, you want to retrieve this. I know you do. Okay, bud. No. I said the word no because he had it in his mouth.
All right, so let's go ahead and come back to our screen here. I got to get rid of this. Stand by. There's my daughter making a funny face. All right, let's go ahead and bring this back down. All right, so you've seen two different videos. I'll try to gotta love the public. Yes. That's just one, Paul. That's just one story that I have about people sticking their nose into stuff when they don't understand the whole situation. But actually, let me go ahead. I'm going to put the URLs in there before I forget, so that you can have them. Here's the one. So this is the first one you're going to see in the comment section is the. Hold on, I got way too many windows open here. Hold on. I'm going to put the first URL. This is the one with the retriever that he bonked, that little, the young pup dog. And then the other one is going to be the boxer. So let me get that URL. And that way you can watch it for yourself. Again, I'm not going to beat up Gary because I don't know Gary. Well, he may think that I'm beating him up. I don't know. Who knows? How these people are going to feel. And there's one for the boxer. Okay, so here, so if you're looking at this as a trainer, and so again, I've been doing this podcast for trainers. It's called Andy Falco's Train the Dog Trainer podcast. But from the trainer standpoint, as you're looking for techniques and ways to train other people's dogs. What I have found, so you have your e-collar people, right? That only thing they use, sit means sit. I know Fred Hasten from way back And for whatever reason, every time he sees me, he gives me a big hug, and he believes that we're really good friends. And I swear, I think I've only met him like 4 or 5 times, or we've been in the same room 4 or 5 times. But every time he gives me a big hug, and I'm afraid he's going to, kiss me. But and I like the guy personally. He's a great guy. He's very outgoing. But the only tool that they use is an electronic collar. And again, I think an electronic collar, when used properly in the right situation, can actually be a more humane tool than any other tool on the planet, which goes against even a country that has outlawed electronic collars. But you have to understand that there's things that can be used in a humane manner, and in perfect situations, it actually can be the best tool if you use it humanely. All right, so there's that. You got people that don't believe in pinch collars. You got people that don't bring them choke chains. You got people that don't do all the stuff, and then believe that food is the very best way to train a dog because it is so positive. When in fact, food is the most stressful way of training a dog if you don't do it right, and actually can destroy a dog. And I have video for that too. And I would be more than happy to show you a dog that has been destroyed through the only way they train this dog is through food. The dog is destroyed. And I promise you that it can be one of the most inhumane things to do. So you don't need to tell me about how, one thing, one tool is cruel, another one is humane and whatnot. I've seen purely positive trainers who are not purely positive, because I've seen them when they're not in front of an audience. All right. So here is the thing. So now as a trainer, when you're selecting the tools, and again, we train with everything other than a bonker and a thing called a gentle leader, which he ends up bringing up in one of these videos. He talks about, have you heard about a gentle leader? So those things kind of, I really don't like the gentle leader. It's one of the tools that really doesn't necessarily train a dog and can cause injury to the dog's spinal cord, especially around the neck area. It actually can be a very dangerous tool when people don't understand how to use it properly. And again, it really isn't even a training tool. It just holds a dog's head in a position that doesn't allow him to be obnoxious. So I kind of like, I already feel kind of funny because I think that he is endorsing. I haven't watched all the videos, so I don't know whether it is or not. But this bonker thing. So as a trainer, as you're looking at the tools you're going to use, you need to figure out, how is it that I can take a tool that I think can be very effective for some dogs and apply it to the training of a dog and their human being in a way that won't shock the consciousness of most people and yet still be effective. Is it possible to use a pinch collar on a dog in a way that doesn't shock the consciousness of another person? Yes. Is there a way to use it where you can shock the consciousness of somebody? Absolutely. You put it on a dog, you have it very loosely fitting, and you're using 2 hands, and you're ringing the dog up, and you're correcting him, and he's yelping, and it's hurting, and you can tell by the dog's body language that it's hurting him. Again, and then probably the most telling thing is in the dog's body language, when the dog is blinking and closing his eyes and yelping and wincing when you're using it, and it goes on for a period of time other than just one single quick correction. So is there a way of using it in a way that does? Yes, you barely hold it on with your fingers, which I've demonstrated often. I have it on one finger, and I can give a little correction. The dog adjusts and gets himself into position. That's a way of using the very same tool in a way that shocks the consciousness of somebody and does not shock the consciousness of somebody. It's the same tool. You're just using it in a way that doesn't cause people to go, oh, I really don't like the way that looks, right? Or worse, it's somebody's dog and they're going, what are you doing to my dog? Oh my God, right? You don't want that reaction. So is there a way to use, here's where I'm getting to the point of the bonker, is there a way of using that bonker in a way that doesn't shock the consciousness of people? Is there? I don't know that there is, because you have to have it over your shoulder and you have to whack the dog with it, right? And you get the dog who rolls over, as you saw with the retriever and I think the boxer too, where the dog shows that body language like, what the hell was that, right? And the dog for a moment is startled. Now, that's not saying that that technique doesn't accomplish something, because it does, right? It does at the moment that dog is doing that thing. And if he does it right, which he does, and the timing is right, which it is, and bonks the dog at that moment that he's doing something, the dog understands, when I did that thing, I suddenly got bonked out of nowhere. Now, the dog doesn't want to put his nose back there, wherever it was, because he goes, last time I did that, I got bonked, right? So And he's saying the word no. So he's trying to tie the bonk with the word no. So he's creating, and this is going to get later on, we're going to talk about, is no a command? Not in this episode, but another episode about, is no a command? And we'll talk about that later. But he's tying the no to the bonk, right? So he can later say no, and the dog will say, where's that thing coming from? Or kind of like our detection dog, we're tying the odor to the sit, right? And to the ball. Sorry, we're tying the odor to the ball, so the dog is attracted to that odor because he reminds him of his ball. We're trying to remind the dog that no means that you could possibly be bonked, or the bonk is coming, or you're about to get hit with the bonk, right? And so he's tying those two things together. The problem with setting up the stage for that is that if you're trying to teach somebody how to do it, there's no way that I can see. Now, again, I've watched the videos to almost all the way through, and just I don't see where that part is coming. How is it you're going to be able to take that motion of hitting my dog with something and make it look like it's not something that causes the dog to wince, causes the dog to show fear and to be scared for a moment? If we were to take that and now transfer it to a child, right? Can we use this technique with a child? Would you mind if you walked into a classroom and your son or daughter, was maybe speaking out of turn, or handing a note, and you were able to watch this, and you saw the teacher stand up and throw something at your son and hit him in the face, whether it was a towel or anything else? Some of us might say, yeah, the little bastard deserved it. But I know that there's many parents go, what are you doing throwing crap at my son, right? And it just, again, the perception is that, I'm just not sure that I like the way that looks, right? And so now I'm talking about a trainer. So as a trainer, is this a technique that I would feel comfortable taking to my basic obedience class and say, you know what, I got this great new thing that we do, and I'm walking around with a towel on my head, and every time one of these dogs act up, I throw the towel at their dog? I'm not sure that that's what they would expect from me from a technique. Our technique, Falco Canine Academy, that we talk about is training your dog with love and respect. Does that fall under, for us, our heading of training a dog with love and respect? Even though it works, right? Even though it gets the job done, even though when timed carefully enough and used at the appropriate time when the dog is misbehaving, it actually gets a result. It gets something done in the manner that we want. We want the dog to stop doing something. Even though that happens, is it something that we can bring into our training that we would feel comfortable doing that thing? And for us, no. So as a dog trainer, you need to decide, hey, I've seen this new technique, or a technique that this guy has developed. I already forgot his name again. Gary Wilkes, I think his name is. And I'm thinking about bringing that into my thing. So now you sit back and you say, okay, how does this match what I teach and profess, and my tagline and my branding? Does it fit into everything that I want to do to show that I can be trusted with somebody else's dog to take the leash and do something with him? He was trusted in these demonstrations with somebody else's dog. Those aren't his dogs, right? So somebody said, here, take the leash, demonstrate what you're going to do with my dog. I feel comfortable that what you're going to do is good. And then there's got to be a part of them. I have to believe that these owners of these dogs inside a little bit were going, he just smacked my dog with a towel, and my dog almost rolled over and peed on themselves, right? And so as that's what I'm talking about. Is that what you want people to see and feel comfortable with? If I ever take a dog, and I'm sure Gina and Derek and Aldo, we have taken dogs from people and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I will tell them, especially when we're going from a flat collar to a pinch collar on a dog who may be in a position where the pinch collar is going to be the tool that we think might work best. We give them the heads up ahead of time and say, okay, this is what's probably going to happen. If we're going to give a correction with this new tool that your dog has never experienced before, and he's probably going to let out a little bit of a whimper or a yelp the first time he feels it. Understanding that we are not injuring your dog in a way that's going to cause damage to your dog. What he's feeling is it's going to smart a little bit. And a lot of it is in his head, is in his mind. He's going, wow, I've never felt like something like that. And so he's going to verbalize both that smarted, and oh my God, that kind of hurt a little bit. And it's going to come out in a yelp. And so if you don't feel comfortable with us doing that, then we won't do it. So we communicate, this is what's probably going to happen. In many cases, it doesn't, which we've set them up for something bad to happen. They go, oh, that wasn't so bad. And normally it goes well. But on occasion, you will have a dog go, yip, and go like, and look up like, what the hell did you just do? Like, that kind of hurt. And so they're prepared and they're ready for it, right? So there are some things that you're going to do as a trainer, and when it comes to compulsion, that's going to cause a dog to react. And so my recommendation as a professional trainer of trainers is to tell you that you need to let your students know. You need to let your customer know what the result could be. And in some cases, you need to make sure that they're prepared for something like a yelp, or even the dog laying down and kind of looking. And so there is going to be those times that you need to do that. With the bonk, there's almost no time that won't happen, right? By what I've seen, right? Anytime you're going to take that thing, and he throws it hard. It's not like he's just dropping it on their head. He's bonking them, right? He's hitting them really hard. So I don't see any way that this tool, and just the way that it looks, like you're just coming and whacking that dog, and the way the dog reacts, if there was a way that you could use that tool in a way that you don't have all of that, which it's impossible because it wouldn't be a bonk, right? For me, it is not a tool that I would put into our toolbox that I would be teaching with other people. So I hope that the discussion here has been fairly clear. I'm not even on the right page to even see who's commenting. Sorry. I have worked with problem Akitas, bonking and aggressive Akita. Yeah, the dog might come right back at you. That is the other point that I probably should have thought of. Thank you, Jack, for bringing that up. That bonk, you could get a dog. And if you don't, I mean, the retriever tried to grab it and run away with it. I got a Malinois or German Shepherd. You try to bonk them, they're gonna catch it with their mouths. They're gonna pull it out of your hand and they're gonna shove it up. They're going to run away with it. They're going to do something with it. So yeah, that's a good point, Jack. That thing just may not be the tool for certain dogs. So I don't find it useful for me because of all the reasons I said. For Falcon Canine Academy, I think the question that came to us was that what was my opinion on the bonking technique. So that is my opinion. My opinion is that I do see how it could work with some dogs to stop them from doing something, but I don't see how it could be used in a way where you could take it out. Like he's doing it in a group, so he's doing it, right? But he feels confident. He apparently cares less about what people think. And I don't necessarily, I do care. Obviously I care what people think, right? Or I try to be, a little bit on the humorous side. I try to get people to follow us. I don't do things that I know will, again, shock the consciousness of people. So I do care what people think. And obviously he thinks and believes that there's enough value in the bonk system technique that he uses that he's going out and selling it as his thing, right? And that kind of, but I don't believe that it fits into what it is we do in regard to training a dog with love and respect. Do we believe in giving a correction? Yes, I believe in giving a correction. I believe in correcting my children, right? They get timeouts, they get stuff taken away. I have flicked them with my very powerful. You don't have any idea how powerful my flick is. I had to use my flick the other day to one of my kids who said something in a way that was probably best not said, and that flick came out at the dinner table, and he didn't say it again. He might have been a little shocked at the pain that was in that flick, right? And so I think there are appropriate times that a correction is when used properly and used in a way. So if you notice, I didn't smack my kid across the face. Would I have gotten the same result from my child if I would have reared back and smacked him in the face? Even though we were at home, and I had no other patrons in a restaurant watching, right? Would I got the same results from smacking him in the face? Yes, but I don't want to smack my kid in the face at home and then only try to give him a flick out in public and not get the same result, right? You want to be able to use the tool. You use whatever tool you would use in public, you're going to have to use it in private too. That way you can be sure you get the same result. All right. So, again, it's not a matter of, this punishment where you're going to hurt something because you're mad. You got to make sure that what you're using has a result, right? And gets and you give it in a respectful manner that not only creates compliance, but also builds the loving relationship we have. Again, I truly believe children need to have parents that they look up to and respect and love, even when it comes to punishment, right? And children, like dogs, need a leader that knows how to respectfully punish them when they do something wrong. Children and dogs need a leader they can respect even in punishment and correction. Should I say it a third time? Dogs and children need and thrive. I forgot that word. And thrive from a leader that knows how to punish them or correct them appropriately to cause a building of character, to cause a building of understanding and relationship with that leader. They need it and they thrive on it. Dogs need leaders. They don't need a human being that is the subordinate. They need the human being to be the leader. That's how dogs become aggressive, nasty, fearful dogs, is because in many cases, not all, in many cases, the human is a follower and not a leader to their dog. I can show you almost consistently when I have a fearful, aggressive dog, almost consistently. That didn't make any sense. I can show you on a fairly regular basis that when I have a fearful, aggressive dog, it's because the human being that's in their life is not a respectful leader. They're either too heavy-handed, right? And so now the dog becomes even more fearfully aggressive, or they're completely just, oh, my dog is biting people, and they don't know what to do. And they go, calm down, my aggressive dog. And they start petting it when he becomes aggressive. And now the dog is going, that's right. Show me that you're a follower by praising me in my aggression, right? It's all done wrong. Children and dogs need leaders that they can respect and they can love. All right. Whew. I went way off on that one. I work with problem and key. Oh, sorry about that, Jack. I love you and thought. Jack loves me. Love you and thought process. This Bonky is pathetic in his opinion. See, I didn't really come right out and say that, but I'm going to give Jack credit for saying that. Louis Canlon agrees. I guess on the leadership that they thrive. Children do, and so do dogs. I learned working with a Shar-Pei. Had to enter a 10 by 4 foot run and leash the dog and bring him out. That was my evolving into a trainer. Yes. I think I've told the story, Jack. I think you might have been on. I'm not sure. But I had an aggressive dog at a veterinarian's office. I got called. This only, it may have been a year ago, to evaluate a German Shepherd who had been hit by a car and had head trauma, but now was acting so aggressive. They couldn't even get inside the cage to get a leash on him to get him out. And they wanted me to go and see if I could evaluate him to see if there was anything that we could do. And I was in this veterinarian office for a couple hours, mostly sitting right outside the kennel door, which was glass and had some bars at the top. It was glass down to about here and then bars at the top. And I sat with my body against that glass while the dog was trying to bite me through the glass and was growling and teeth and slobber until to the point where the dog stopped. And then once the dog stopped, I then turned my body and then started to face the glass. The dog got back up again. And then it took me about 2 hours to get to the point where I could actually get the door open and then get inside the kennel with that dog and then get a leash on him and a muzzle. That's our life. You've just entered the life of a dog trainer there, Jack. In the end, the dog it turned out that the brain damage from the car accident just was too much for the dog. So the brain injury was not going to allow us to train that dog to be, so the dog had to be put down because I was the one who made the decision. And this is just something between you and I, Jack, about something if you're getting involved in aggressive dogs, is that because I made the decision, it was ultimately my decision whether the dog be euthanized or not. And based on what I'd spend about 3 hours trying to do something with this dog. Starting to get emotional. I'm trying not to get emotional. Is that, and I'd only known that dog for that period of time, right? Because it was my decision. I was the one who held the dog while they euthanized the dog and held him until he took his last breath. But these are some of the things you need to do, right? And so the bonking wouldn't have worked for that dog, right? And so getting back on the bonking subject, I trail off on these things, but Jack brought up a really good point about where we're entering as far as dog trainers and evaluators and rescues and shelters and people that I know that watch this particular Facebook Live, is that we got to look at all these things. We have so many things we have to determine in relationship to training a dog and what is we're going to do with a dog. And what if we fail? The amount of people that could get hurt if we take on a situation where we're going to try to keep a dog alive who's aggressive. We got to look at all these techniques and which ones work, which ones don't work. Is this something I could pass on to somebody else? Is it possible for me to take this bonking technique and pass it on to somebody so that they can be successful with it? And I think it's one of those things that's just so hard because it takes timing. He's obviously skilled at bonking. I've just in the short videos that I've watched, he was correct in when he did it and how he did it. It's just that it's not for me. It's not for somebody else. It's one of those things that's going to be hard to pass on to somebody else. That's one of the reasons why click and treat isn't one of those things that gets easily passed on, because not everybody who is a customer for pet dog training to get their dog to stop or start doing something, right? Start doing something that's obedient and stop doing something that's bad, that we can take as a trainer. I love click and treat. I've used it. I've trained a peanut detection dog based on click and treat methods because some of the other things that I do wasn't working for that dog. But it is so hard to pass on the click and treat method to somebody who has a life, right? Who has other things to do, because you have to teach them the system of click and treat, and they have no interest in being a click and treat dog trainer, right? They just want their dog to stop doing this thing that annoys them or hurts people, and they want them to start doing these other things like sit, stay, down, heel, right? And you can do that through click and treat, but am I going to be able to take this technique and pass it on this person who the girl was a singer, she was an ice skater, she was a music writer, she was a student, right? And she was learning how to drive all this time. Now now you need to learn this click. It's hard, right? And so is that bonking technique something that I can pass on to somebody else? That's the other thing you need to look at. So I'm sorry I went through so many rabbit holes, but it gets me excited to talk about these things. And I love it when people comment. I learned, so that was Jack's last comment. So Lewis, I walk a fearful German Shepherd dog. Will you at some point give some tips? She lunges at cats. Nice. Cars. Cars, not cats. There's the thing. So that's supposed to be cars, not cats. He probably lunges at. He doesn't lunge at cats either. If he lunges at cars, he probably lunges at cats too. Gosh, I love your guys' comment. You guys are keeping me on a roll here. I got to look. I just got asked what I want for dinner. I hope you don't mind. I never do this on a broadcast, but I know that this is time sensitive. I'm getting asked some questions. Let's see. Should I go to Olive Garden or should we go? should we go to Mendocino Farms for sandwiches or Panera Bread? How about let's do Olive Garden? Sorry, I'll get back to the broadcast now. I'm not sure if this is the right place, Lewis. I will talk about fearful German Shepherd. So how can I make this related to bonking? Hold on, you know what, Lewis? I'm going to come back to your question. Please remind me if I start to sign off if I haven't talked about it. Let's stay on the bonking thing for 1 second. Jack Pitt. I stood there, never gave the Shar-Pei a straight on look, and he finally walked over to me and smelled me. Good. Yeah. The biggest thing with entering a kennel, and I know that's not bonking. I know, Lewis, I'm sorry, but Jack, is that I just want to relate to this really quickly, is you got to take your time. Right? And that's one of the mistakes I know that many of the police dog trainers that I've known over the years is they're so impatient. They mostly get into compulsion and strong compulsion because of the lack of patience. They want it to change now. They want the dog to let go of that sleeve now, and they go, how hard can I hit this dog with a correction or a stick, right? And they go, I want it now. As opposed to if you just had a little patience at a time, you can get faster results by taking your time. Seems strange, I know. Seems like, is that an oxymoron? I'm not sure if that's an oxymoron. There's another word for it. I can't think what it is. It seems like opposite world, right? Really, if you take your time with dog training, if you go back and watch some of our stuff that we're doing with Charlie, many people would try to rush it. They'd try to push the dog in these situations. If you just stand back and just wait and let the dog process through stuff and allow the dog to think through some things, you don't need to bonk, right? There's some things that just time and patience and not allowing the dog to win that particular situation, which will make things go much faster. If a dog could process through something and think through something and make the right choice, you're going to progress faster, because the dog has the opportunity to process and make sound decisions, which he then gets rewarded for, right? Not everything can be waited for in that case. That's why on occasion compulsion or corrections are actually something that are necessary. But there are times that if you allow a dog to work through it without bonking him, that the understanding will be clearer and more effective with the dog and progress you through training a lot faster. I believe that. I've seen it. I promise you that. People need to learn dog ethology. Body language says a lot. Yes. Body language in a dog, and we talked about it again back on the detection dog thing that we just did, that the understanding body language, reading your dog. What's he telling you? If he's actually processing and thinking, when the dog Charlie was the very last exercise we did on the video we just showed, when he smells it and I can see him look at me and he can see the wheels turning, I smell odor, and you kind of see him rocking back, and you see him, it's slow, but he's going back and it ends up sitting. I allowed that process to happen because I could recognize that he was processing and thinking through, and it was giving him the opportunity of actually making the decision on his own without me giving him a sit correction, a compulsion, making me give him the sit command, which was giving him a hint of what he was supposed to do. I would answer the question. If I don't answer the question, and if I don't give him the compulsion and he does it on his own and sits, way more powerful. So much more powerful than if I were to get involved. But reading the body language, understanding what my dog was doing at that moment, as opposed to what he did before, which was smell it and do nothing, right? And he got stuck. When a dog gets stuck, then you need to remind them that, no, this is what you're supposed to do. But I'm not going to reward you for it. I'm going to tell you what you're supposed to do. Now what I need you to do is put those two things together. Now go back at it. So I make the dog go back at it. The dog smells it and goes, okay, last time he gave me a sit. Maybe if I sit without that correction. Oh, look at what happened. I got the toy without the correction, right? And so the dog makes the choice. And the what Jack is talking about here is that reading the dog and understanding what he's telling you at that moment is so important. So important. It was a very special case. It was a very special case. What, Gina? I'm already moved on to something. It was a very special case. So Gina, to remind me what you're talking about there. That way I can know. I'm having so much fun on this broadcast. And Lewis says yes, cats too. Okay, I'll get back to you, Lewis. I promise. Bonking or zonking? It's called bonking. The Bonker. So I put the URLs for both videos in the comment section, Jack. If you go back and click on those, it'll take you right to Gary Wilkes. Is that his name? I already forgot what his name is. Gosh darn it. I got to find out what his name is. I got to get it right. Oh, I got rid of the screen. Oh, here it is. His name is, Gary Wilkes. So Gary Wilkes, bonker, not zonker, a bonker technique. What was a very special... use the bonker once. I didn't. Where did you comment the other thing? Did I miss something? Maybe Gina commented and I completely missed it. I'm sorry. Oh, no, you didn't. All right. So again, I don't think that the bonker, I don't think it is a tool. I think that it's effective. I think that what he did with those two dogs actually was I think it worked, right? It told the dog at that moment, because the dog, the boxer, right, was sticking his nose in his hand, which was near his crotch, that kind of stuff. He bonks the dog. Now the dog stopped bonking or stopped nosing his hand, right? So it's very clear that the bonker worked. But again, it's not that it doesn't work. It's that how is it that you can teach it in a way and use it in a way that's not going to cause people to kind of go, ooh, I don't really like the way that looks. I don't like that you take that thing and smack my dog with it, right? It's like a reed stick that we used to use to hit a dog on the paw to get him to let go of the sleeve. That was a correction that really hurt, right? It really smart. When I was doing that, when I was trained how to do that, I was really good at it. And we would cause dogs to limp sometimes, right? But does that mean it didn't work? No, it worked, right? I was able to use it, correct the dog would let go. The dog would get back. He would bark, 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 bark. I'd give him the bite. He would say out. The dog didn't out. I hit him with a stick. The dog would go back, bark, 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 bark. Then I would give him the bite again, and then the dog would say out. The dog would let go. So the stick works, right? The stick on the paws, when you use it right, it hurts like a mother, right? Can you imagine getting hit with it? I don't have anything that I could show you that would relate to it, but it's a very thin stick it's a reed stick. It's very flexible and it really hurts, right? It's not that didn't work, but there's so many other things you can do to make that training work better for the dog and be more effective for the dog, and in a way that doesn't hurt the dog, right? I almost broke a couple paws, I'm sure, with some dogs that we were doing that with. There were times that I've seen it used where it was causing dogs to bleed, right? And so does it work? Yes. Does the bonker work? Yes. Have I done things with dogs that is way worse than bonking? Absolutely, because that's how I was originally trained. And many of you know my story. 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I was trained to do some very horrible, horrific things to dogs that worked. But what I'm telling you is that I don't do those anymore because of the way that it looks and the appearance. And is it necessary? And does it actually work better to do it another way? Yes, there's other ways that you can do it that actually works better. Right? Allowing a dog to think through the process and having success through the thought process and discovering it almost on their own with my help leading up to that process works way better than smacking the dog with a stick and hurting them. So, there, I hope that helped. Hard to explain here, but it did help. I didn't do it as blatant as Gary. And yeah, so I walked, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that so fast. And so I walked out into my backyard, right? I'm in my garage, if you didn't know, and my studio's in my garage. But I walked out this door over here. This Malinois that I had back there, it turns and just attacks me. It's not the time I was in the kennel I got attacked and I couldn't get the dog off my arm. That's another time. But this was another time where the dog attacked me and got me pretty good. I was bleeding on this one too. And I took the dog and I grabbed him by underneath his jaw right here and stuck my thumb about as hard and as far first to get him off under one. And then once he got off, I got my other hand on there and I got him underneath the other one because he was still trying to bite me. He goes, ah! And I pinned him up against the wall, right? And I had my thumb so deeply dug that he was finally just starting to give, right? And but he's still fighting. His paws are up against my body. He's still trying. You can hear him inside go, rah, like he's going to eat me. And right then, my daughter, Courtney, she was only about 7 or 8 at that time, comes out in the backyard and she goes, hi, Dad. And she just keeps on walking. I'm bleeding. My arm's bleeding. I got the dog. It's during the day, right? So she can see everything. And she just goes on and there's a swing back there and she starts swinging. And here I have this dog pinned up against the wall. And finally the dog goes limp and gives. And I put the dog down and I pet the dog. What a good boy after he lets go and then walk away, right? And then we heal the dog away and that kind of stuff. I can't remember exactly why he attacked me. There was something that I think there was some possession. I think I grabbed his bowl or grabbed his toy, and I'm glad I did it before my daughter walked out there. But those are those things, those moments, right, where you have no choice but to stick your thumbs into a dog's throat and jaw and to a place where it causes so much discomfort that the dog has to give in. Is that something I wanted to do? No, but I had to, number one, get the dog off my arm. And number two, I didn't have anything else available. I didn't have a leash that I had on the dog because the dog did it, just out of the blue. If I would have had a rock, I probably would have hit the dog with a rock. I mean, there's things you got to do to make a difference in that dog. But again, when we are talking about dog training, where you have structured training, where you have an opportunity to bring some people together and say, this is what we're going to do with this dog, the bonker technique, although it works and when used properly, can make a difference in the dog, it's not something that I would feel comfortable using as part of my tool belt of superpowers that I would carry around. All right. Wow. I just completely went into a whole other thing here. I hope some of you are still with me. My basic theme to dog owners is respect from the dog. They are a pack animal. Who is the leader? Question mark. Difference between dog love and respect. Good. And Gina, I have no problem. Like I said, I've done way worse than a bonk to a dog, and it helped. But it's not something I continue to do on a regular basis. I have the things that we do, and we do them, and they work really well. All right. So just before we leave, I just want to address Lewis's issue here, and it's really hard, Lewis, to go too far on Oop, where'd it go? There it is. Too far on this subject matter, because there's other things, right? So it's supposed to be cats, not it's supposed to be cars, not cats. So in relationship to a dog who has a fear of cars, right? Because will you lunges at the cars? So I'm guessing, because Derek had a dog not too long ago. He was working on the same type of thing. I can't remember how we came across this dog, but this dog, whenever he saw a car, man, he would just freak out. And when he got too close to the cars, he would try to run towards them. But also, if he was far enough away, he'd also try to run away. Just an extreme fear of cars. And so the oh God, I'm just struggling at where to start to try to help you with this if I can. Start finishing my food order for dinner, because this is going a little bit long, is that you need to find a place that you can get to with that dog near enough a road that isn't too busy, but has, enough consistency with cars coming down them. So where the facility was that we have training sometimes, opportunities, which is Orange County German Shepherd Rescue, which is also forgot the other name for it. I'm so used to going German Shepherd Rescue of Orange County. And there's a park nearby, right? And so wherever that distance is from that street, where you have a car that comes through every so often, right? It's just one of those streets that is not a major street, but a street that has enough traffic, right? And you want to get the dog to a place where, as you leave the road and go away from the road, the dog will begin to calm down, right? Wherever that is. At that point, you're going to begin to use obedience, right? So you get the dog in the heel position on your left-hand side, usually with the dog's right shoulder in line with your left leg. And in this case, we're going to use treats, not in the sense that, if this dog, most German Shepherds, most Labrador Retrievers, in many cases, will eat treats even under some stress. If this is a place where this dog is so stressed out that he won't take treats at all, then you're going to have to find something else, maybe a toy that this dog likes. So you're going to have to find whatever motivator for this dog is that will give them enough comfort that you're going to show them that as cars go by, they're going to get this thing. So in this case, this is where I would start. Again, I don't know this dog, so it's really hard for me to say 100% if this is going to help you out or not, but this is where we would start. We'd find the motivator for this dog. If it's food, but it has to be something high value, like a hot dog, a piece of chicken that the dog loves, or maybe liver treats of some sort. If it's a tennis ball or a Kong or a burlap toy, whatever it is, a high value thing that really this dog just truly loves, you're going to go to that place where you're just out of the range where it causes dog the stress, and you're going to play with that dog. You're going to bring the dog into heel position. They're going to give the dog the thing, whatever that is. I'm going to call it the thing. Give the dog the thing, and then, what a good boy, right? Good girl. And then you're going to now go into obedience position, and then you're going to turn and walk towards the car zone, right? You could be 100 yards away at this point, 150 yards away. I don't know what the distance is where this dog finds calm in that environment, but you're going to find that place, and then you're going to begin to walk towards it. At the moment you see the dog show a little bit of like apprehension, you're going to get the dog in the sit position, get the dog's attention. You're going to go, what a good boy. And you're going to give them that thing, right? Then you're going to back up. Now you're going to do it again, right? And then you're going to get to that point where the dog shows a little bit of anxiety, just a smidge. You're going to get the dog in the seated position, and the dog does it. What a good boy. And you're going to keep working towards that traffic so that you're going to put focus on obedience and that toy as you get closer and closer to that thing that's causing the stress, and see if you can't change the dog's mind about that thing. The dog's going to begin to realize, if I stay obedient and focused on my human's taking care of me and putting me in this obedience position, because now the human's in control, right? So you're showing control through obedience. You're showing control through the thing that causes them fear, and diverting their attention towards you. And now they can begin to let go of their fear and put all the focus on you. Again, this goes back to that relationship with Jesus Christ that I talk about in Christianity, that you want the dog to hand everything over to you as if you are the dog's Jesus Christ, so that they can begin to feel more comfortable, right? And so that's kind of what you're going to do through this process. And it takes time. It's not a thing that's going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. You're going to have to repeat a little bit of this type of thing over and over again, and begin to get closer and closer. And it just simply takes time. And you're going to work towards that street, right? And once you get success there, to the point where you can actually maybe get to the sidewalk of that street, again, this could take days. It could take a week or two. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for this dog. And again, it depends whether some dogs don't take treats or toys under stress. So if that's the case, then we're going to have to look at something else. But that's where I would start. I would start with a high value treat, whatever that is. Again, it's probably not the dog's kibble. It's probably not just your normal milk bone, which is gross anyway. It's got to be something like a hot dog or chicken or liver treats, something of high value, and work towards that thing that causes them fear through obedience. Again, you're going to use obedience as a way of getting the dog's attention so that you can show that dog that you're in charge, even in those places what causes the dog fear, and slowly get the dog over that fear. All right. I hope that helped, and I hope that explanation was good. Gina maybe could comment. Gina, did that make sense? It makes sense in my head. I just don't know if it comes out in the verbal as much. Yeah, give that a shot and make sure and let us know. Let me know if it's working for you. But you got to take your time. Remember what I said about taking time. Don't get in a hurry. Don't for a couple of days, take it inch by inch, which it can take inches, right? It can take that you're at 100 yards away and you're going to solve this problem in inches. And then at some point it'll go into feet, and then at some point it'll go into yards, right? So, but don't try to suddenly go from, a foot of getting closer to that thing that causes them fear, and then suddenly jump to 10 feet. You don't want to make big jumps, right? You want to make slow, progressive jump. Allow the dog to tell you what he can handle. If the dog can handle you going 4 or 5 feet on this particular one day because you don't see the dog showing you the anxiety they would normally feel, then do it, but be careful, right? And maybe just take enough and then give the dog whatever treat that is, and then you back up again, right? And then you work towards it again. Then you back up and you work towards it again. And then you keep getting closer and closer and closer until pretty soon your dog's on the sidewalk and you're walking past cars and everything's fine. And in a perfect world, hopefully that will work that way. All right. You're very welcome, Lewis. I appreciate the question and your participation in the Facebook Lives. I love the participation. I love talking. I'm sorry that every so often I go on rants. I hope that they don't take us too far off the topic. I try really hard to stay on topic, as you can probably tell. My my dinner plans are coming closer and closer, and she may be waiting out the door. The front door might be locked. I'm not sure she did. And so I got to go take care of that. Lewis says, I get it. Timing is very important in distance. Yes. Yeah. Get the distance and then work on the timing thing, and you'll get it. We've had this a few times with some fearful stuff. I would set up a tripod and video the session so you can watch the signs he shows. Oh, very good, Gina. Yeah, fantastic. Her comment is to set up a tripod and video the session so you can watch what signs he shows when he is nervous. Sometimes we as owners can't see all the signs if they are not that noticeable. Yep, fantastic. Taking video. I love video, as you can probably tell, because that's what I use a lot in these things. All right, so that is it. It's time for me to eat. I got to go. Thank you for allowing me to go on these rants and talk a little bit about this. I hope I handled it well. Again, I don't know this Gary Wilkes guy. He may be a fantastic trainer. Again, I think the technique that he uses works. I don't think that it's something that we would put into our toolbox necessarily. All right. I hope that helps. And all of you that joined us, I don't want to go through all the names because there's a lot of you. I appreciate your time in this evening to watch what it is we're doing. I really appreciate it. And Gina, I will see you on Friday. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.